Hello everyone and welcome back to K-popinions. I'm Belle.
And I'm Millie, and today we're back with our special Halloween episode, the Vampire vs. Werewolf edition.
Before we get into it, please remember to follow us on Instagram at K-popinions podcast and on TikTok at K-popinions podcast.
It's easy to remember. So we thought that we would, instead of just presenting Halloween songs or creepy songs, we will each have our own theme and, as we realized, our own timeline in a way. So I'll be talking about the vampire songs and vampire concepts of K-pop, and you'll be talking about
the wolf concept of K-pop, because you're kind of a vampire girl and I'm kind of a wolf girl, right?
Yes.
So that was
definitely
that naturally just happened this way.
Since we have different ways of doing things, how are you gonna structure your song list again?
I structured the wolf songs chronologically. So I'll start with the earliest and I'll end with the latest song.
That does make sense.
So kind of an overview of how the wolf genre, the wolf subgenre in K-pop came to be.
As for me, I will be ranking the songs in order from best to worst, but not in the sense that the best song will be at the end, although I do really like it. But just as a vampire concept, I'll just be going in order from what I see as the least involved to the most committed and well executed, I guess.
Okay, so the first entry on my side, the first wolf entry, is a bit of a special one, because, well, it's obviously the earliest one, and it might be the least typical, but I found it interesting because it's the very first song that is about wolves and is called Wolf, but it's not really about wolves, so you'll see.
Is it EXO?
No.
Oh!
It's a very, very early song. It's the song Wolf and Sheep by H.O.T.
Oh, really early?
Yeah, from their 1997 album Wolf and Sheep. That was their sophomore album. And Wolf and Sheep was one of the singles of the album, but it was not allowed on broadcast because of the lyrics. Yeah, it's a interesting song. It's very hip hop heavy, a lot of rapping, and the lyrics are interesting. It's not literally about wolves and sheep, as you can guess, because the way sheep is used today, it's more like it's more of a social criticism. It's not about an actual factual event or an actual factual time. It's actually set in the future because, as I said, the song was released in 1997, but the song talks about an event in the year 2000, where the wolves came and destroyed everything the sheep had, and the lyrics say we were trampled on and eaten, and all the sheep's family were turned into the hunted. Damn you wolves, you animals.
Okay.
Yeah. And the whole song talks about that. How the sheep were like destroyed and hunted by the wolves, and
okay, that's a lot to process. I was not expecting something like this. It sounds so like serious and intense.
No. And there's a music video too, obviously very old, so it's not best quality. Sadly, there's no wolves in the music video, since it's more like metaphorical. It's just a hip hop street performance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they had this whole really crazy story and everything, but then the music video is just dancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It probably was a budget question of budget too. At first I was like, it's not the best song. I mean, I'm still of the opinion that it's not the best H.O.T. song.
I need to check it out.
Okay, but the more I listened to it, the more I was like, it's a bop.
Yeah, it sounds like an old K-hip-hop song.
Yeah.
So I understand your first reaction.
I would give it a 2 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
Mm.
Just like you, when you rate like how good the vampire concept is. Doesn't mean a 2 out of 10 is bad, but like it's not very wolfy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my first entry.
Cool. I was definitely not expecting that. Which is good, because I'm hoping you won't be expecting my first one either. So my first vampire song, and in my ranking, the worst one, but not the song. I think I would be killed if I said that. I like the song, but the vampire concept is not very developed, I guess. Is Rolling by Brave Girls.
Oh.
And I didn't know it was a vampire concept.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I discovered that with this episode. And only the original version, the remade version, isn't at all any like vampire or vampy or anything. But yeah, that's right. They had a vampire concept.
Interesting.
Yeah, you wouldn't think, like, from hearing the song, you wouldn't think that a vampire concept would fit that. But actually, it's not. I mean, when you watch the music video, it's not that shocking or anything. It kind of works. But to be fair, the vampire concept is mostly just a sexy concept, kind of dark, but nothing too intense. It's mostly sexy. There's a censored version and an uncensored version, and the uncensored version is kind of giving lesbian orgy vibes.
Oh.
And then the censored version is just giving girls being sexy at the same time in the same place energy.
Okay.
Other than that, there's eyes changing colors and vaguely gothic looking things in the background. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So more an aesthetics thing, really.
Yeah, but even as an aesthetic, it's really not that crazy. So, I mean, it doesn't look bad. It's not a bad music video.
Yeah. Low-key aesthetics.
Yeah, low-key aesthetics. And apparently the girls were also really weirded out or like unsure about the choice to go with the vampire concept for this, which makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess it worked out, but the song does feel very summery and light, so it doesn't really scream vampire.
Okay, interesting. I never would have expected that.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, so should I continue?
Sure.
Okay, where was I? Okay, next entry, I guess, not surprising, is Wolf by EXO,
Yeah.
Which came out in 2013, so that's quite the jump from 1997.
Yeah.
I could not find another Wolf song in between. Please tell me, listeners, if you know one, but that's all I could find from pre-EXO. So, I mean, Wolf, we already talked about it on our EXO deep dive. It's the OG Wolf song, the pioneer of modern K-pop Wolf subgenre. It is literally about being a wolf and eating people like cheese. It talks
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, it talks about like their claws, but then they lose the strength in their claws because they realize they've fallen for a human. And then the wolf has to remind himself that humans are just a meal and I'm a wolf. And then it's like, but you're a beauty, I'm a wolf and I love you. And then the girl is like scared of the wolf, obviously. And he's like, but I've fallen for you. You've like metaphorically pulled out all my teeth and I'm a slave for you. Interesting. And I mean, we know it's iconic. It already begins with a wolf howl, then there's growling and clawing the floor, all before the first note was sung.
Yeah.
They're making roar claws. You see wolves a bunch of times, like fading from a member to a wolf. Then obviously there's the howling in the chorus.
Yeah, they really went in.
They went all the way. I think the choreography is interesting too. It's very animal-like and pack-like. Lots of crouching on the floor, or like all the members being huddled together like a pack while one is singing in the front.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a part in the chorus where they can make like wolf ears.
Yes.
With their hands. And they do like mouth movements with their arms. It's just all out.
Yeah.
And even the place where they shoot it, because I know last time we said it's in an SM box, but actually when you look at the way it's designed, it looks like they're either inside a wolf's mouth with lots of teeth surrounding them, or they're like claws around them and even on the ceiling.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I never realized.
They every detail is a wolf.
Yeah.
Then there's the fur hat. I mean, just everything.
Yeah, that's commitment.
Yes. And it's just completely unironically all out, and I appreciate that. And I think that's why it's so iconic, and that's why it like created this subgenre, this trend, because it's unironically just a wolf song.
Yeah, it really just is about being a wolf. Like there's no like symbolism or anything. It's just being a wolf. Yeah.
I really recommend also watching the cover that AT, Stray Kids, and B2B did on Kingdom together, because they also completely unironically went all for it.
Which you have to do with this song, I think.
You have to embrace it. So yeah, Wolf by EXO is what started it all, and it gets a 10 out of 10 on the Wolf meter.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't know all of the songs that you're going to mention, but I think it just has to be a 10 out of 10 automatically. There's nothing that can surpass it, I think.
Nope.
Maybe it's a good time to mention that I didn't do, because you apparently added all of the wolf song that you could find, right?
Yes, but I think there's more vampire songs, right? So you couldn't add all of them.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
It's not like all of them. It's just the ones that I thought were worth talking about.
Wolves are underrepresented.
Yeah. Because, wait, it's wolf and not werewolf? Or it's both?
It's usually they mean werewolves, right?
Yeah.
I just call it a wolf genre, but I mean werewolves.
Okay, so my next vampire song is Come by New Kid, which I think if you don't know this one, you are forgiven too. That's one that I discovered specifically for this episode. At least they tried. They really tried. Well, did they really try? I don't know, but they tried. Like they committed to the vampire aesthetics a little more than Brave Girls. So they're a little better, but it's still not like crazy vampy or anything. So I appreciate the effort. The song is kind of weird. It's not really truly dark, but there's kind of a hint of darkness in the verses, I guess. So that kind of fits the concept a little more than Rolling. But there's nothing like obviously dark or creepy or spooky or anything like that. Honestly, in the chorus it turns more into a hype song, but like a hype song from a few years ago.
Okay.
It came out 2 years ago. Okay. And it's not too dated. But
what is it called again?
Come.
Yeah.
With O-M-E. Also, I'm at some point I'm pretty sure they're meowing, like but not like meow, but like the lyrics are meow 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 at some point, I think. So make of that whatever you will, you know. But yeah, that's it. Like there's like as far as the music video goes, we again have like a natural or changing eye colors. There's a whole lot of neck touching. So I guess that's
It's always good.
Like leaning together, and like general light homoeroticism, but that's but also like for me, vampires are queer always. You know, like I'm not the only one. Like
They're just
it
all
just makes
bisexual.
sense, right? I mean, that's just how it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's how it works.
that's just the rules of vampirism, you know. But yeah, once again, not that much to say. I think they're on the right track. They have the right idea. They just need to commit a little bit more.
My next song might be controversial for you.
Why? Oh, I'm very excited.
But some people consider it part of the wolf genre. Even I wouldn't really say it is, but I see like why people would consider it that. But I'm
so
excited to see what you as an expert would say. So the next song is On and On by Vix.
Oh, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah. Do you have it too for your list?
Of course I do. I mean, that's not a problem.
I mean, I don't think it's the only one. I think we'll have more. We'll see. Because some themes can be both, right? They could be interpreted as both.
You're stealing Vix from me?
I'm sorry.
Oh my god, I got you into Vix and now you're stealing it from me?
I won't say too much about it, okay? It came out in 2013 as well, just 3 months after Wolf by EXO. And yeah, some people consider it a wolf song. Neither the lyrics nor the video are like about wolves, but it has some imagery that is also associated with wolves, right? So they are dancing in front of a huge full moon, which is more a wolf thing than a vampire or like other mythical creatures usually. And that's pretty much it.
Okay,
they also, I mean, the lyrics are not about wolves at all. Obviously, it's kind of a sad love song.
They're also not about vampires, to be fair.
It's kind of they are yearning for someone who's hurting them and leaving them, and it does talk about moonlight that vanishes and the girl's eyes that change. But I guess it's more like changing emotionally and not like actually supernaturally changing. So yeah.
But I see yeah.
I see how one could interpret it as a wolf song.
And the golden eyes, because I feel like usually werewolves have golden eye.
True, and vampires are more like red eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have golden eyes in this one, that's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it can be considered as part of the genre. And I mean, what a great song, right?
Yeah. I'll get more into that when
I won't say
to it but
much
yeah
more. And since we have it twice, I will rest my case.
Yeah, but you know what, I'll allow it.
Okay. Oh, and I give it a 2 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, actually, the next one for me is one that might also count for werewolves. So
Ooh.
We'll see. Also, we are going fully into oldie but goodie, like question mark territory, and fully into camp territory. So the next one for me is Witch by Boyfriend.
Oh no, I don't have that one on my list.
Oh, okay. Because I'm pretty sure it's vampires, but to be honest, it could also be werewolves. Like there's nothing that's really like moving it in one direction or the other, because even at some point finally we got fangs, thank god, but they're so big and I mean they're huge, they look ridiculous, but also I feel like for vampires you need like smaller. I have a lot of opinions about vampires. This is really vulnerable for me because I'm like revealing how much I think about vampires, I guess, and the standards I have. I really like vampires. But yeah, I feel like for vampires, they need to be like small and
Yeah.
almost dainty. But for werewolf, I feel like usually they have bigger
Yeah, it's true.
fangs. So they're huge, so they might work as werewolf fangs, but we'll just assume they're vampires. So this came out in 2014, and this is peak 2014 boy group music.
I forgot about that song.
Oh, I didn't. I think both in terms of music and in terms of concept and music video, like on any level, it's not the best. But at least they're really committed. They really actually went for it this time. It's a coven of vampires or of werewolves, but vampires, we'll stick with that.
Creatures.
Yes. Going against the witch, which, okay. But it's so over the top and ridiculous and campy, because one of the first things you see is there's a newspaper report of another body being found with a BF mark on the wrist, and then you see one of the boyfriend members showing their wrist with the most ridiculous, ugliest BF thing ever. First of all, why would you get that tattooed ever? I don't know. The witch is the Red Riding Hood. That's her name. And at some point there's a girl coming to their lair, and you're like, I wonder if the only girl in the whole music video might maybe be the witch. That would be crazy. And then you see that there's a red cloth in her bag, and you're like, oh my god. Oh, also something really ridiculous. At some point they're reading a book that's called How to Be a Human Being. Okay.
I could use that.
But yeah, that's the level of, yeah. And basically just they fight, but then you can't really see if she was actually that girl or not, so it just ends after the fight, and there's no resolution. It's not very plotty, it's really just aesthetics and campiness, I guess. Which, you know what, I can appreciate campiness.
Yeah,
I do like that. Yeah, they committed more than the first two on the list, so they're above them.
My next entry is from 2014, and it is the only entry by a girl group.
Oh.
And it is called Wolf is Stupid by Tint featuring Chunchi of Teen Top.
Okay.
They were a girl group active from 2013 to 2015, and they only released 2 singles. The second one being Wolf is Stupid. And as that already suggests, it's not a very good song. The music video, it begins very wolfy, and you're like, ooh, this could be great. It shows Red Riding Hood in the woods, but right when the wolf appears, it cuts, and then the good part is over.
And then it just switches to a normal music video.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, no, that would be good. It's less than normal.
Oh.
It shows the whole group dancing in the Red Riding Hood outfits, but not even for the whole song. It's just one of the outfits they have, and there's a guy walking around with a comic plushy wolf mask. It doesn't even really look like a wolf. It kind of looks like a bear dog
like a
thing.
Cartoon wolf. I'm watching it now. Yeah.
And to be honest, the music video is very confusing. I think they're trying to flirt with the wolf mask guy, but he never sees them because he's always reading his newspaper.
Okay.
And then I looked up the lyrics, and that kind of confirmed that it's actually quite a sad song. It's about someone who's in a relationship with a guy who doesn't really notice her. She's like, how can you not see all the effort I make, all the nice things I do, everything I do for you? It's really quite sad. But there's also a disturbing line that says, I've been starving myself to lose weight, yet you stuff yourself in front of me. And only twice in the lyrics is the word wolf mentioned. It says, you don't know why I'm mad, you really don't know why, wolves don't know anything. And it's weird because the rest of the song, there's no metaphor or anything about anything remotely wolf-like. So it's very confusing, the whole concept.
So it's just a normal song, and then once they call the guy a wolf.
Yes.
Okay.
And he walks around in that mask, and the song is called "The Wolf is Stupid." Which when I first read that and I saw like the Red Riding Hood thing, I thought it would be about like a stupid wolf that's too dumb to catch them or something like that. That would be a little funnier, I guess. But yeah. The song is okay. It's kind of cute, but it's nothing special, I feel like. So yeah, it's a cute song about a girl in a really sad relationship.
Yeah, like just leave him.
Yeah.
This is the relationship advice section of this podcast. Just leave.
Yes, and don't starve yourself, please. So I give this a 1 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
Next one is one I think you'll be happy about. It's Favorite Vampire by NCT 127.
Yes.
Officially with this one, we're in actual good content territory.
I hope so.
It's good, you know. The song is good, first of all. And the vampire aesthetics, it's not that in depth. I mean, there's no real plot or anything, but what they did it well, and they committed. I mean, we get fangs. We get actual vampire fangs.
Yes.
I am very happy. We get bite marks on another member's throat, which the implications. And just, it's fun. It's a fun mix of completely normal NCT content, I guess, or aesthetics and visuals and everything, and a kind of darker, I wouldn't go as far as to say gothic, but gothic-y aesthetics. So it's a fun mix. I really like it. I wouldn't say the lyrics really work with the concept, but they're also not completely like crazy different, you know. Like, even though the vampire is in the title, I feel like that's probably more of a marketing decision than anything. It's, again, there's no real like darkness in it. If anything, it's more of a kind of retro song.
Yes,
but not overall. It's just, it has two very like obvious, for me at least. One of them might be more controversial, but two pretty clear inspirations from the past. The instrumental in the verses, you know, there's a weird noise that really reminds me of Look at Me Now by Chris Brown, Busta Rhymes, and Lil Wayne.
Okay.
I swear, if you listen to the song, it's there. And then there's a sort of, it's not a flute, a fluty instrument or fluty sound that has the exact same melody as Dilemma by Nelly and Kelly Rowland, just in a different tempo. Oh. No, not even, I mean, probably different key. But it's the same melody, but the timing is different. So it always reminds me of that song. So yeah, it's more of a early 2000s.
Yeah, and also it also is reminiscent of old K-pop.
Yeah,
like,
that's true. The chorus is very, yes. But it's more of a general vibe, where the other two were clear. Overall, really nice. I am absolutely biased because I like NCT and because it's very obviously a vampire concept. And there's fangs. Fangs are cool as hell. Like, I don't make the rules.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just a really good looking music video.
My next entry, I don't think you chose it because it probably would have already appeared in your lower ranks, because I think you could also use it as a vampire concept. It is Under the Moonlight by VAV.
Yeah. It's not in my... No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
But it could have been.
Okay, so it came out in 2015. It was their debut song. And the music video is very fitting for Halloween. They're dancing on a graveyard under the moonlight. There's coffins. One of the members is playing the organ at church. There's a wolf, of course, lots of candles, a magic book. Very Halloween-y, horror-ish. Yeah, and then the moon turns red, and one of them is wearing a fur coat and has wolf eyes. So I would say, even though there's like imagery of a couple different mythical creatures, the wolf one is the strongest. So like the coffins are more like a vampire thing, right?
Yeah.
Dancing on a graveyard could almost be zombie-like. Then there's witchcraft as well, but since they're singing about the moonlight and there's wolves there and the fur coats and stuff, I would say the wolf theme is the strongest.
I would disagree.
Okay.
I mean, well, no, actually, it's not that simple. Well, they like officially had a vampire concept, but I also agree because I totally see what you mean.
The lyrics are also just like they combine different lores. Like the white moon rises, where am I? I feel like I was bewitched, different time, different place. So we have wolves, witchcraft, maybe even time travel. Yeah, and I'm not really sure what it's about because like then it turns into almost a love song. I'm confused. Maybe it's a love song, maybe it's about the pack, like we'll stick together no matter what. Could be both. The song is okay, but it's not
It's not okay.
Yeah, it's not very memorable. It's just
No.
like pretty old schooly with the hey ho, but
Yeah.
it's not very good.
Let's go. Yeah, VAV. Now they're called Very Amazing Voice. Although I think in the beginning it was Very Amazing Vampire or something. Is it amazing?
Okay.
But like when I say they had a vampire concept, I mean they had a vampire concept. It's one group that I really wish I could get into because they debuted with a vampire concept.
But they didn't last.
No, it didn't, because they had that for a few comebacks. They stayed with that. They even have a webtoon with a vampire storyline and everything. But then they switched companies and they stopped the vampire concept.
So yeah, I give this a 5 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
Makes sense.
There's an actual wolf in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, I don't remember that. So my next song is Full Moon by Sunmi, and it's great. It's amazing. This is a basic for me of the vampire concept for sure. It's really, really different from what she does now because it's her in her JYP solo era. But it's nice. I really like it. Like everything from the music to the styling to the general aesthetics of the music video, it just feels really smooth and expensive. The song isn't really dark, but the music video like has more of a sort of a plot, and it definitely looks dark and intense and spooky. And it's kind of sexy too. I think the choreo was like pretty daring for K-pop, and I think she had to change it for music shows because it was too sexy. So the plot is a little more developed than in most of the other one-off concepts, because there's kind of two things. They're just the groups that just had one vampire concept one time and then it was over, and then at the end we'll see groups that had a longer storyline over several songs. But this is kind of intense for the one-off concept. So basically she's a vampire who bites and turns a guy who's in a wheelchair, who she apparently knew from when he was a kid.
Okay.
And I guess she wanted to, I don't know, help him, take him away. I don't know. It's just, we don't get more than that. It's just like the whole music video is she bites him at the beginning and at the end he turns and he's a vampire, basically.
Okay.
And in between, there's just really cool, gothic-y, dark, sexy visuals. And that's cool. And kind of like a classic Victorian vampire vibe, which I really like, with more modern-looking choreography and really, really cool outfits. I will never get over how amazingly good she looks, like dressed so beautifully, lying in a coffin. This, oh my god, it looks so good. But I really like the overall package, but I also really enjoyed the song in itself.
Okay. So my next entry, because the last entry I had by VIV was in 2015, so now we have a 3-year jump. There was not a lot of wolfiness going on for the next few years. In 2018, we have the song Wolf Baby by TRCNG.
I've never heard of that.
Same, thank you. Here I was thinking I know pretty much every group that ever was, but I've never heard of them. And at first I was like, is it Tracing? But no, apparently it's TRCNG. And they were under TS Entertainment, active from 2017 to 2019. I didn't even know that TS had another boy group after BAP.
Yeah, me
but
neither.
Apparently they did for 2 years.
What the hell? This is pretty good.
I know. I was so surprised. I was like mind blown. Like, how do I not know this?
Yeah.
It's 100% literally about being a wolf. The song starts with "I'm a wolf, 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 baby." So yeah, it tells a similar story as EXO's Wolf. They sing about being a wolf awakened by the moonlight, wandering through the darkness, but then a person appears and they suddenly feel alive and kind of fall in love with that person. Then there's some lyrics where I'm not sure if it's just a weird translation that makes it sound very sexual or if it's supposed to be sexual. But the translation I read says, "Awaken the senses that had fallen asleep and I'll take you, only you. A ferocious beast intends to jump into your black eyes. I'm ready, bend over a little bit."
Oh my god, because like, I'll take you. Like, okay. Interesting.
I'm not sure if that's what it's supposed to mean.
I mean, at least it's clear.
Yeah. It's very to the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, the music video is so cool. It's very obviously wolfy. It shows a pack of wolves running. They're fighting. They do this nice shadow play where the shadows are like claws and stuff. And I think it's a very creative music video that shows like a bunch of horror scenarios that then all turn out to be just a prank or like harmless. It's very fun because like at one point you see a member with a bloody mouth, but then it turns out it's just ketchup from his burger. And at one point someone gets his hand cut off and then it was just a prank, he still has his hand, stuff like that. And I'd say it's the most Halloween fitting music video that I have on the list, because it's just like fun horror, you know.
Yeah, which is a cool concept. I mean, I was gonna say it's not done enough, but I mean, I guess the first one that comes to mind is SHINee's "Married to the Music."
I was gonna say, yes, that's what I was gonna say. That's what it reminds me of the most, like the music video. Yeah. And yeah, it's very wolfy. There's howling, there's a claw dance move, the whole program. And it's honestly such a good song.
It is. I was so surprised.
It almost has like old B2B or boyfriend vibes, right? Like wow, by B2B or something like that. Yeah. And totally. I give it a 9 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
The next song on my list is "Drink It" by The Boys.
Ooh.
And it's a rare exception where a universe song is kind of good. I guess up till now we kind of got more of the gothic-y Victorian vampires, but this is like more like urban contemporary vampires, because they're in rundown houses and warehouses and things like that, and I really like that. I think that really fits the vampire thing, actually. And also it's not really a plot, it's more it's gonna sound weird, it's just things progressing, they're going places, and at the end, like, they start off separated and then they're together at the end. I think there's like one of the members that's a human and the other ones are vampires. But it's not really a plot, it's just going from point A to point B. And one thing I really enjoy is they didn't really shy away from a few weirder shots or a few weirder things, which I think is cool, because my problem is that vampires, not just in K-pop but in anything, are just too normal and kind of boring. Because like it's always like, oh, I don't want to kill people. I'm just trying to live my life as a human. Like, why would you do that? I like my vampires to be like slightly weird and uncomfortable to witness, because they are not human. They are not living as humans. So why would I want to see that? Like, vampires acting as humans, So there are a few things in this where I'm like, yeah, that's good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it sounds weird. It's just like, if I wanted to see humans, I would watch any other K-pop music video.
Yeah.
I really like this. Not the best song and not the most involved plot, but they really nailed the general vampire vibe and creepiness and spookiness and uncomfortableness,
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that.
My next entry is from 2019, and it's a bit of a special one again. It is Wolf by Usong. His first solo EP was like, the whole EP was called Wolf. And there's an intro song that is only 1 minute 39 seconds, and it's called Wolf. It's a nice intro song. It's very chill and mysterious. The word wolf is being whispered, and then there's howling afterwards. And the lyrics, I think, are quite sexual. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Once again, maybe it's a translation, but the lyrics are, pinch your thighs under the full moon. I have to endure it. Under the blooming moon, holding your hand, we can take it slow if you want to.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds pretty, steamy.
Yeah.
And then after that, like, the whispered wolf is also quite sensual. So I think that's intended. And when he was on Eric Nam's podcast, Eric asked him why he chose wolf as a title, and like what his connection to wolves is. And he said that they look scary and have a scary reputation, but they are very romantic animals, very loyal to their pack, and they look at the moon and cry, and that he's like, he just really likes them, and it's about not judging someone by their cover. So I would say that this entry is probably more about actual wolves than werewolves. Because he's just really into wolves.
Yeah.
He also has a husky, I think, which looks very wolf-like. So yeah, he's into that.
Oh yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So I give this an 8 out of 10 on the wolf meter, because there is howling, and even the cover of the album is him with a wolf. So
yeah,
it's very wolfy.
Yeah. I listened to it and it's nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very peaceful in a way, but also kind of sultry.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. So my next entry is a little weird too, because it's a B-side and doesn't have a music video. So I feel like just because of that, it should be lower on the list. But I love it so much that it's there. So it's Dracula by FX. And it's Dracula. Like, they committed. They went there. It's a B-side from their third album, Red Light, and I think it really fits that general vibe, but it's a little less industrial and harsh, and it's more campy, for sure, and a little darker. And it's all about basically Dracula coming to get you, and you have to run. Like, don't be alone, don't be in the dark, just run. But there's like screams and like very campy, spooky, Halloweeny sounds that are just really cool and really well integrated in the whole song. Like, there's screams all the time and it sounds really, really cool. It doesn't feel too gimmicky. It just really works really well. It's also a really percussive track. I feel like they have a lot of those from Rum Bum 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 on. They have I don't know, it's kind of their style.
Yeah.
When it starts, it's really percussive and punchy and creepy and campy, and then the pre-chorus is really airy and light and really, really pretty. But where this song is really kind of genius is that it has a changing structure where each chorus is different. So the first chorus, you get the two parts, and then the second chorus is kind of a concentrated version where both parts that are present in the first chorus are playing at the same time. And it sounds really cool and way more, like, way fuller and more interesting and complex. And then the final chorus, the same thing happens. It's the two things are playing together, but also they add these amazing harmonies underneath that and even more ad-libs and layers on top of that. So the last chorus feels just so full and layered and just really intense. It's so good, and it really fits that kind of chase, spooky atmosphere where all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, like he's here or whatever. Like I really like the song, but I also really like what it does with the Dracula, and it just does this so well. It's executed so well, and the song is such a banger that it had to be this high on the list, even though there's no music video.
Yeah, I get that. My next entry, we have reached 2020. The wolf trend is really picking up now. And it's The Boys. They went
a wolf one?
Yeah, they went both ways. The song is Reveal. It's from their first full album, Reveal. And the wolf concept is very low-key here. At first, I wasn't even sure if it is a wolf concept, but they have actually confirmed themselves that they are wolves in this song. So, the music video is very low-key. It's just very aesthetic with lots of red. A full moon can be seen a bunch of times, and once there are glowing eyes in the dark, and that's pretty much it. The lyrics are a bit more interesting to look at. So the song is about wanting to confess your love to someone, but you have to keep your distance. There's lines like, it's a lonely night where I hide my heart. In this suffocating darkness, I'll keep myself here for you. I stay in the corner of your world. I hold my breath under the moonlight. I have a heart of hell like Hades. And I've been circling around you all day, so kind of like a predator, I guess. And then it says, although I want to, I'll keep my distance. And the interesting part is at some point it also mentions, one day I'll stand in front of you in the time of dogs and wolves. And I think it meant like the time between dogs and wolves. So like Twilight, where you can't see like if it's what it is, if it's a dog or a wolf, if it's a threat or
a friend,
a nice harmless dog.
Yeah.
The song is really nice. I really like it. It's always been one of my favorite The Boys songs. So
it's really nice. I do really like it. Yeah.
But you wouldn't really like immediately guess, oh, it's a wolf concept, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's very low key. So despite being a great song and despite being very aesthetic, it only gets a 3 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
Yeah, makes sense. Beautiful, but not very wolfy.
Yes.
The next song on my list is On and On by Vix.
I'm surprised it's so high up, since it's not that vampire-y.
Yeah, you've already said I was biased. Can you just let it go?
No, because your listing is how vampire-y it is, right? And it's not that vampire-y compared to others.
Yeah, but really,
I don't see fangs. Very biased.
Well, it's a scale on how vampire-y it is, but also kind of just how much I like it.
I see. So that was all a ruse.
Well, but it's not the only one that's, I could have moved down a little. It just felt right. But I mean, obviously it had to be somewhere on my list because it's Vix. And it's also one of my favorite songs by Vix.
It's so good.
I know. Well, I mean, first of all, it's the song that got me into Vix because I heard, there's a kind of a rookie group that just came back with a vampire concept. And I was like, oh, really? And so I checked it out, and the song is so good.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
And it has the iconic line, "I need therapy, la 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 la, therapy."
Yeah, like eternally relevant. Like, it's always relevant. I've never listened to that song and thought, no, actually I'm fine. So
it's relatable.
Very relatable. But actually, the reason I know it's a vampire song, like, technically, even though I completely agree with everything that you said, technically it's a vampire concept because they talked about the fact that Hyuk, who's the youngest of the group, watched Twilight, and he was like, hey, we should have a vampire concept, which I guess is why they have golden eyes, because they have golden eyes in Twilight.
K-pop idols' obsession with Twilight will never cease to surprise me.
Twilight and Justin Bieber. These are the two things that everyone in K-pop is obsessed with. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But I mean, it got us this, so I'm not complaining. Honestly, it's just immaculate. The styling was so good. It's kind of dated now because it came out in 2013.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but it was
very
so
heavy makeup
good.
And
oh my god,
great.
Yes.
I wish they would bring back like eye makeup like that for male idols.
I know. And like that deep burgundy gradient lip that kind of made it look like bloody lips, basically. It was amazing. Obviously the contact lenses. And the choreography is also very vampy. All of their choreographies from debut until like, I don't know exactly when they stopped. But they used to have very like expressive, I guess, dances where they literally did the thing that they were talking about. So like there's staking, like rising as if from a coffin, neck biting, things like that, which we like.
Yes.
And it's all in the dance, which is really cool. The space aspect of the concept is a little weird, like vampires in space.
I know.
You know what? I'll take it. The only sad thing is it used to begin with a sample from the Phantom of the Opera, but then I think they had copyright issues, so they had to change it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, you can't find it anywhere anymore. It's not on Spotify. Obviously, it's not on YouTube.
If you own the CD first print, then it's on there, or
yes, it is. And
do you
I
have
do
that?
have it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think I mostly talked about my love for Vix and the song rather than the vampire concept because there's not that much to say. I'll admit it, but it looks really good, and that counts for something. Also, Ace made a cover on it on M Countdown in 2020, and they just followed the styling exactly, and it was nice. Yeah. Okay.
My next entry is another song from 2020, but it's a weak entry. It's Howling by Victon, from their album Continuous. And it's very, very low-key. If you watch a music video, there's nothing that would hint towards wolves at all, except that it's called Howling.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really only in the lyrics, and even they are pretty low-key. There's the part that goes, I'm howling like a starving beast. Can you hear me howling? And then later it goes, we are Beauty and the Beast. And Moonlight is mentioned as well. That's pretty much all there is to it. So people classify it as a wolf song, but there's really not much there. Also, the song isn't very memorable. I'm not a huge fan of it. But I'm not a fan of a lot of Victon's music, especially their early music anyway. So maybe just not my thing. Yeah. So I give it a 2 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
Mm. From what I've seen, that makes sense. So my next song is Beat by 100%.
Oh, I love 100%.
I know.
They
I'm
were so
so
good.
I know. Yes. I'm so happy that I have a very good reason to talk about them because they used to have the best songs and
I
they were
know.
so underrated. I've never seen anyone talk about this song like outside of forums where people were discussing vampire songs.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's the best of the 2014 boy group sound.
Yeah.
It's honestly flawless. It's really like moody yet really intense and punchy and
sexy too.
yeah, I know. Yeah. It's just and sophisticated in a way.
Yeah.
It's everything. The strings that we're missing in K-pop, they're here
Yes,
and they're
please
glorious.
bring them back.
I know. Yeah, please. As for the concept, again, it's not really a plot, I guess. And there's also nothing in the lyrics that really helps decipher what's going on. But this time we get more like futuristic sci-fi vampires in sort of tanks, like for creatures in a lab, that kind of tanks. You know, but like shaped like coffins. So like sci-fi vampires, kind of different, which I appreciate. That's really nice. There's a lot of CGI blood for no real reason. But I appreciate the aesthetics. The styling is really, really cool. They look really otherworldly and weird. I must say I am also biased because the song itself is so amazing and because the sound works so well for a darker concept. It's just please do yourself a favor and go check out this song.
And while you're at it, might as well check out more from 100% because they're great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I also have a really strong entry coming up. We have reached the year 2021.
Oh.
And it is Wolfgang by Stray Kids.
Wait, what? It's I'm having a moment.
So
that's funny. I mean, obviously. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Wolfgang from their album No Easy. And the title stands for Wolfgang, as in a pack, but it's also a wordplay with Wolfgang, as in Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. It's a B-side, so there's no music video, but they did perform it on Kingdom. And again, I would recommend checking out that performance because it's peak wolf. Like, you could not get more wolf than that. And also, they also went the Mozart way there because they started with like a Mozart piece and then it turned into like the wolf theme. It was really cool.
Cool, yeah, that sounds pretty great.
In the song, there's growling and barking and stuff. And obviously on stage, they did the whole thing. There's growling, there's people in chains and furs. There's a shirtless John with scratches on his body.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the whole program. Also, the choreography is very wolf-like. A lot of crouching and crawling on the floor. There's fighting. There's like imitating a mouth with your arms and all that stuff. And it's one of the few songs that isn't about like, oh, I'm a wolf and I fell in love with a human. It's more about like, it's pretty aggressive about the pack, like having to fight. It's about having to stick together to survive. There's lines like, without mercy, I bite your throat, I chew it up and eat it.
Okay, yeah.
I show my true nature and follow my instincts. We gather together as a group, attention everyone. So it could be a metaphor for like having to fight in the industry as a group. And then maybe as a little reference to Mozart, we have the line, the sound of our steps is like an orchestra. It really is 100% wolfiness. Once you get over the wolf cringe, once you have embraced it, it's a great song too. It's very core Stray Kids, great raps, nice John pre-chorus. So yeah, a 10 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. I'm really excited to go check out that performance. I might have listened to the whole album, but I don't remember. So I just played a little bit of it now, and it sounds pretty great
Yeah.
and really aggressive, but
Yeah.
in a good way. So it's the last one-off entry in my list. After that, it's concepts over a few songs, but this is the last one that's just one song, and it's Mine by Jejong. Finally.
Yes.
It can get higher than that, but only because it's automatically gonna rank higher if you have a multi-song storyline. But other than that, this is literal perfection. Like, if it was up to me, it should have stayed like at the forefront of K-pop for all these years. Sadly, it hasn't. I thought that would have more staying power.
Yeah, people
It should
these
have
days
had.
don't really talk about it.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about it. So this is by far like the darkest, most intense, and automatically most vampire-y song on the list, because he went full rock.
Yeah.
And it's glorious. It's just dramatic, intense, heavy, dark, and his vocals are obviously amazing, as always. Literally, I only have good things to say about this song. There's nothing I would change. It's amazing. Please listen to it. And the music video is unmatched. Like, no one has ever done something like that in K-pop.
Yes.
Before or since. It's so dark.
Yeah. And so aggressive.
Yeah, really, really aggressive. And he's always kind of looked otherworldly, like so pretty. He looked out of this world, like literally. And so I feel like a vampire concept was the perfect way to go, because that's kind of what you associate with vampires, I think.
And he has wings too.
Yeah, like why not just add more to that, you
All
know?
out.
Yeah. And so I really, really like that we get like the more classic, dark, gothic-y vampire looks, and like the rock metal outfits and styling, and also more artistic and editorial looks. Because there are a few scenes where he's wearing things that are less outwardly good looking and more like a little weird. And I really like that, because as I said, I like my vampires to be unapologetically vampires, even if that makes you kind of uncomfortable and weirded out.
It makes sense that vampires wouldn't dress the most stylish.
Yeah.
If you think of them as being immortal, it would be kind of tough to always be on top of the trends, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's a pretty obvious thing that if you live your whole life for other people, or waiting for other people to be happy and validate what you're doing, you're gonna be pretty miserable. And that's for a normal human life. I feel like if you're gonna be alive for centuries, you're probably better off just being able to do your thing and not care what other people think. So, and just like, if you've been a creature of the night for, I don't know, like tens or dozens or hundreds of years, socially you're gonna be weird, because I don't know, it just makes more sense to me that they would be weird. I really appreciate that, and just everything looks great. The fangs, the weird slit pupil eye, yes, the wings, absolutely. Yeah. It's literally one of the best vampire concepts in K-pop, and it came out in 2013, so people really need to step it up.
Okay, my next entry. We have reached the year of 2022.
Wait,
so my last five. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
2022 is the peak of the wolf concept. It has really exploded this year. So the first entry of this year is from January. It's Au by Golden Child. And the title already suggests that it might be wolfish. The music video doesn't show a lot of wolf imagery, but it's there. It's I actually like the way they executed it because it's not too much, like it's not over the top, but it's there. There's a frame, like a split frame at some point, where one side of the frame is a member's face and the other side is a wolf's head. There's a huge full moon. They like claw the screen at some point. The choreography as well has some wolf elements. It's nicely done because it's low key but still there. And the lyrics are same old, same old. They're about wanting someone, wanting to protect them, but like being a beast, you know, like when the night of the full moon, I gotta get wild. Freaky.
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say it's weird that it seems to be something that's in a lot of the wolf concepts that they want to protect their lover.
But I mean, that is kind of when you think about like wolves and dogs and like that pack mentality, it is kind of like they're very protective, right?
So yeah, but it makes pack sense. Mentality, yeah, but their lover wouldn't be necessarily.
Well, but wouldn't you want your lover to be part of your pack?
I don't know. Would I? I need space. I'm not sure I want them to be there all the time.
Well, if you're a wolf.
Well, I don't know. I'm too independent to live like that.
You're a lone wolf.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a later entry.
Oh, okay.
So teaser. Yeah, but I think it's a one-sided love in this song. And they live in different worlds, and yeah. There's a lot of owing.
Which is appropriate.
Yeah. I used to not like the song, but now that I revisited it for this, I really like it. Oh, it's a Japanese song, by the way. I guess I'm just a sucker for howling boys, so so it's a decent entry, I'd say. It's a decent song. There's a decent amount of wolfness, plenty of howling, so I give it a 7 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
Okay, that makes sense to me. So for me, the last 5 songs will be 3 songs from one group and 2 songs from another. So I'll just do them separately.
I'm pretty sure I know who it is.
Yeah, obviously you know. So the first one will be Wanna's.
Yes.
There's a 2-song vampire storyline, and then there's Twilight, which is the first one I'll talk about, which kind of fits into the vampire concept. I mean, it is a vampire concept. Does it completely fit into the rest of the storyline? I'm not sure. I would say that's up for debate. So we'll just accept that this is somewhere within their lore, maybe. So the song is actually pretty nice. I always kind of ignored it for some reason, and then I rediscovered it like last year, and I was like, actually, it's nice. Yeah. It's fun because the song and the music video are really, really different, because it's very the song is really modern and electro based, but actually the music video has that like royal or noble, sophisticated.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
Yeah, it looks so good. And that's where I think it plays into the rest of the story, because they're nobles or royals or something, because in the later songs they're actual monarchs. So but I wouldn't say you can really find a clear story in this. Like, they're staring at objects, but it doesn't make sense. Not really. I guess you can find explanations. I've seen theory videos, but you know, I'm not sure they really went for that at that time. It's just really nice and opulent and really cool, and the song is really nice. As far as the vampire aspect goes, we are going back to the eye changey colors, and just a general aesthetic and vibe more than anything. If this was a standalone, it wouldn't be that high on the list, but because it's Wanna's and it works with the rest, it's here. But as itself, not very vampire-y, but nice.
Okay. My next entry is also maybe a bit controversial. It's from...
I love when you say that.
March 2020. It's The Boys again. and it is I'm sorry. It is an OST. It is an OST.
Oh.
For a Korean web novel called Solo Leveling. So maybe it doesn't count completely because that web novel has like a monster fighting theme. So their music video obviously went that way.
Yeah.
But I had to add it. The song is called Echo, and one of the reasons why I wanted to add it is because it's the only song where it's not them who's the wolves, but they are fighting the wolves. So I found that an interesting addition, even though I guess it's based on that web novel. That's why that's their storyline. They are fighting like shadow wolves. There's also like a winged creature, but mostly it's these wolf creatures, and they're fighting them with swords while wearing suits. It's really nice. They all look so good in that music video. You should watch it. Yeah, and then the final boss is like an evil statue. I guess it makes sense if you know the story. I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah. I looked at the plot of the web novel only like very briefly to see if that's why the music video is like this. And I only know that it's about humans with magical abilities battling monsters. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Definitely very aesthetic. The song isn't bad either. I quite like it. The lyrics are very vague. Like you can't really say, oh, it's about this or that. Maybe if you know the story, I don't know. It's about like being in this darkness and there's prophecies and not being able to run away, but like it doesn't really make sense. So
okay.
Yeah. It's worth checking out though, because it has almost a bit of an old school vibe to song. Almost gives me a little bit of old school EXO SM vibe. So yeah.
That sounds good. I'm interested.
It gets a 4 out of 10 on the Wolf meter.
The next song is Come Back Home by ONEUS, and this is where this is where we're going into the detailed vampire storyline. So, well, first of all, the song really packs a punch. It's super intense, super powerful. It's just amazing, and it really, really fits the storyline and the aesthetics. It's hard to find words to describe epic. It sounds epic. It's pretty violent. There's a lot of blood, a lot of fighting, and both that vampire imagery and the royal imagery is there, and like medieval kind of imagery. It's just epic. Everything, like the whole package is so epic. And like we finally get the classic vampire white shirt look, which is all I ever want, really. And even in the choreography, you can find some of these really obvious vampire elements. I'm pretty sure there's neck biting in here too, and general fighting and things like that. Just vampire elements in the choreo too. Really, really cool. And for the story, if you want the whole story, you have to watch the concept films and the teasers and everything.
Those are so really cool.
Yeah. And thankfully, they just give you the story. Like, there's a voice narrating the whole thing. So basically, in this, all of the members are monarchs that are beloved by the people. And so Helios, the god of sun, gets jealous. And he threatens humanity to make the sun disappear for them if they continue to worship them instead of him. So humanity decides to sacrifice the sixth monarch instead, and Helios exiles them and curses them to live without the sun and to feed on the blood of the humans that they love so much and they wanted to protect. And so since they still love humanity, they only feed on the blood of bad people and criminals, but their servants and like other nobles that were under them, I guess, are really angry at humanity that betrayed them. So they kill them and slaughter them and everything, like regardless of who they are and what they did. They worship the moon, and there's a prediction that there's a child that will be born during an eclipse, and that they can use this child in a ceremony to bring eternal night. So basically, they'll just have free range the whole time. So the monarchs decide to protect the child against their own servants and followers in a war that lasts 10 years. And then I'm kind of confused about the end, because like it says the red moon will be back for the child. I don't know what that means, but that's the end of this concept. And it's just really cool, because basically the whole music video, apart from the dance scenes, is just this war. It's super bloody and violent and cool. Sword fights, just amazing, so much fun. And I think they filmed a behind the scenes for that, and I'm really excited to see that. I've never watched it, but honestly, they really just went for it 100%, and it's so cool. So that's basically it for now. And then the end of that story is in the next one.
So in April of 2022, we have the song Lone Wolf by Apex.
Oh, of course, because we talked about Lone Wolf.
Right. It's a B-side of their third EP, Prelude of Anxiety, Chapter 1, 21st Century Boys.
Oh, God. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. It has no music video, obviously, because it's a B-side. It's about being a lone wolf. Surprise. Like, people are whispering behind this person's back. He doesn't care about the world. He's been a lone wolf since birth. And then in the chorus, there's no howling, but there's barking instead, like repeated woof woof. So that's new. Yeah. And later it says, don't try to tame me, don't provoke me. Wolf, wolf, leave me alone. Back up, my teeth are showing. So it looks like someone's trying to get close to him, but he doesn't want that. And despite the barking, or maybe not despite, because I embrace the wolf cringe, right? So it's not a bad song, I enjoy it, but it's it's on the more hardcore side. I'd say it's not for K-pop beginners. But yeah, it's there's no music video, but because it's so very much about being a wolf and teeth, and I have to give it, and there's a lot of barking, I have to give it an 8 out of 10 on the wolf video.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So surprise, surprise, my next entry is by Wanas as well. This is very Wanas heavy. Yeah. It is their song Mr. Wolf.
That makes sense.
Which came out in May this year on their album Trickster. Yeah, it's a B-side, so it doesn't have a music video. And the lyrics are a bit confusing. Again, probably a translation thing, I don't know. But at first, you almost think it's from the POV of a wolf hunter. With lyrics like, capture you, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? Move true to your instinct, 1 step, 2 step into my realm. So almost like they are luring the wolf into a trap. But then there's lyrics like, I can't back down because that's not like a wolf. And in the end, it's like, when the red moon rises, I can't handle it. I'm the alpha wolf. It's dinner time. So I guess they were the wolf after all. I don't know. It's a bit confusing.
Like half of the group is singing as the wolf hunter and the other half is singing as the wolf?
Not that I know of. But all I can say, it's definitely about wolves.
Yeah.
And there's growling, there's screaming, like high-pitched actual horror screaming. So it's very wolfy. I like it. And it's a cool song because it's like an offbeat rhythm. It's very fun and pretty chill apart from the screaming. It's not too crazy and intense, so I like it, but yet still very wolfy. So yeah, I think it's a decent entry in that sense. And like you said, there are some wolf elements in other. Well, you didn't say that. There are some wolf elements in other Wanna's songs. Like, for example, in Twilight, there's an actual wolf on a field. I guess because they have a vampire concept usually. And I guess, I mean, vampires versus werewolves is just a very common thing, right? So they can go hand in hand many times. So yeah, but this one is specifically about wolves.
Yeah.
And I'll give it... I give a 6 out of 10 on the wolf meter.
Cool. Okay, so the next song for me is the last Wanna's song, To Be or Not To Be, is the last song of their vampire storyline. So after that war that I talked about, the monarchs win, and they trap the souls of the servants they beat into a necklace. But then they realize that actually, even if they're still around, humanity will never be truly happy. So they trap themselves or their souls into the necklace. And then Helios is really angry because they won. So he takes away their powers and keeps them like in a sort of sleep, I guess, or trapped somewhere. It's kind of unclear. And the only way to regain their strength and escape is to drink the blood of the descendants of the child that they protected in the last one. Because that's like centuries later. I don't think we really get an ending to that story. That's basically it. It feels like they should have had another song, like to complete the trilogy, but they never did.
And that's exactly why I loved a certain era of Wanna's, and then it stopped sounding the same, and that's exactly where the cut was. Because To Be or Not To Be is my absolute favorite Wanna's song, and I expected their style and their concept to continue that way.
Yeah, because they have this really sophisticated sound, and that's pretty much all of their songs.
Yeah.
And then they had this, which was the epitome of that. Yes. And then the next release was Diggity.
I know,
which
and I was like,
is just what? Noise music.
And it has nothing to do with their former concept. Yeah. So that was sad.
Not the sound, not the concept, not anything. It was just a complete 180. Yeah. And it cut short what could have been a really cool storyline that they could have kept going to. So, but yeah, so that's basically it. It just looks amazing. It's really, really beautiful. It's, I would say, even better than Come Back Home. But they're so different because Come Back Home is just brutal and violent, and this is so sophisticated and beautiful, but also kind of dark and definitely vampy. I mean, we get blood drinking, someone bathing in blood, and just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful visuals all around. I don't know why, but I think it's really cool, a scene where they find the necklace and there are guards that just shoot them, but they're vampires, so they are fine.
Yeah, that's so
and it
cool.
just looks really cool. Yeah. So I guess I like violence.
It is a really great music video.
Yeah. One of my favorites out of this sort of subgenre. A really, really cool execution of it with a really, really cool song that just fits that aesthetic and that concept really, really well. The only problem is they didn't continue, basically.
Okay, my last two entries are by the same group, but they are a bit of an exception in several ways, but I could not talk about them. Also, I will have to mention a song that you will mention soon. I think you see where this is going.
Yes.
So the group I'm talking about is End Audition / End Team. I'm honestly not sure how to even pronounce that, End Team I don't know.
I can help you there.
I've never actually heard it pronounced, so I don't know. So, I mean, as we know, Enhypen were formed on the show Island, and some members of End Audition / End Team as well, such as my boo K. And then the concept is basically that Enhypen are vampires and End Team are wolves. But End Team haven't debuted yet. They will debut this December. So
there's a date now?
Yeah, December 7th.
Cool.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
So I guess they are an exception in the way of they're not actually considered K-pop, I guess, because they will be a Japanese group. But I mean, they're the only group that officially has a wolf concept, so how can I not talk about them?
Yeah.
Also, some members are Korean and they were on Island, so I mean, yeah. And they're like the brother group of Enhypen. And
yeah, like, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I will have to mention Drunk Days by Enhypen. So in Drunk Days, which you will talk about in detail, we see K and EJ of End Team. They're at the bus station in the beginning, where their shadows on the ground have the shape of werewolves. And then later on, they also come to the vampire party and they like appear in the shadows and watch and stuff. So that was their introduction into that universe, I guess. And then they released 2 pre-debut songs. The first one I'll talk about is The Final Countdown. And these 2 pre-debut songs they released under the name End Audition, because they were still looking for members, right? And then they will debut as End Team. It's a dumb name, but whatever. So, Final Countdown. In the music video, there's not a lot of wolfery going on. There's a wolf in the beginning that is howling, and you can see the wolf. There's a huge full moon, and then, well, I guess there is kind of, because later on in the music video, they are running together across a field, like wild and free, kind of like a pack. And then a little later, they are running through the woods, and then it fades into wolves running through the woods. So that's very, very on the nose, I guess. The lyrics are also very wolfy. Moonlight shining from afar, looking for a herd alone. I just kept running like a pack of wolves, blindly running wild. Don't wander alone. So basically, it's about being part of a pack and not being a lone wolf. And I guess it makes sense in the concept of their storyline too, as they were just formed as a group. They found their pack, and they will debut together. Yeah, but it's very tame. I mean, it's not like badass wolfy. It's like very innocent wolves, I guess. All about like, oh, we're a nice pack sticking together. Yeah, but it's very wolfy, so I can't complain, and it's their actual concept, so I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it seems like they're basically doing the same thing as they're doing with Enhypen and vampires.
Yeah.
Of going like pretty obviously into that concept and using it as a sort of metaphor for their experience in real life.
Yeah.
Obviously, that last group I'm talking about, Enhypen. I'll start with Given Taken because it's the first one.
Yes.
It's their debut song. And this is just the epitome of the long-term vampire concept. It's so good. So just like for ONEUS, if you want to get the full experience with the storyline and everything, you basically need to watch everything from pre-debut. So all of the teasers and trailers, the intro track videos and everything. And they even now have a webtoon with a whole storyline. But since it's a much larger story, I won't be doing the same thing as ONEUS because that would be too long. So Given Taken is amazing. It's honestly, even without the vampire thing, it's one of the strongest and most original debut songs I've heard in years. On top of that, you add the fact that they debuted with a vampire concept. I am in love. I love them. They're amazing. But I really, really like this song because it's really unique and different for K-pop. It is kind of creepy and also almost otherworldly. it feels really like floaty, but then you get to the chorus and there's the drama. The harp, I think it's a harp in the beginning. I don't think I can think of a single other K-pop song that has a harp, but it really adds to that weird otherworldly vibe. The vampire concept is so cool. I mean, there's bloody writing on the wall, a creepy orphanage or boarding school. I guess it's more boarding school given the rest of their concept after that. Members burning in the sunlight. Like literally going up, not in flames, but in ashes. Like just disappearing. They are gone. I mean, they're back for some reason, but members chained down and crawling on the floor and writhing in pain and everything. So it's pretty intense. Fangs biting. They really went for it. But the one thing that I think is really relevant without having to go too deep into it, and that you already touched on, is that they're using the vampire storyline to talk about their experience as rookies and just artists. So basically their real life stories, them being trainees turning into artists, is mirrored by their story of humans turning into vampires, which is cool. That's it's interesting. And that basically they're discovering a new world and a new way of seeing, and that's the same as being new artists in the K-pop world. So that's really, really cool. There's a storyline in the past and the storyline in the present, and how they came to be vampires and how they feel about it. It's kind of deep, especially for K-pop concept, about the hardships and difficulties and everything, and regrets, because it brings you a lot of good things, like, but then there's drawbacks, and they talk about all of that in all of their songs, and it's really, really cool, really interesting to get into. But yeah, Given Taken was the perfect debut, and especially the perfect debut for a vampire concept. It's just really unique because no one has really done that to that level yet. And it's cool to see. As a vampire lover, I am really excited about what they're doing. I really hope they go back to something like that soon.
As mentioned, my last entry is by N-Team again. It is the song Running with the Pack, which is already pretty self-explanatory. It came out just last month, so this is very brand new. It doesn't have a music video as far as I saw, but they did perform it on that show where they chose the rest of their members for debut. I can add that to the playlist. And they performed in front of like a huge full moon, so very wolfy. The lyrics are quite similar as the one to the Final Countdown. It's also about having found each other in a dark world and having a shared fate. It says, now running with the pack, scream even if it hurts. Awakening my blood will be howling to the moon. Wolf sticks his tongue out. I don't know. We gotta trust each other. So yeah, it's literally about a pack, feeling the bond of a pack. And so the songs are quite similar in what they're about. I like the Final Countdown. I'm not the biggest fan of Running with the Pack.
It's so good.
Really? Okay.
I'm just listening to it now. It's so good.
But I'm really excited for their future. These are only pre-debut songs, right? So I'm kind of hoping that they will go even more in the wolf direction, because this is quite tame so far. Of course, it's only been one music video, but that was quite tame. I like it campy. I like it a little more horror-like, so they cannot do any wrong for me if they go more in that direction. Yeah, also I think song-wise there's also room for improvement. But yeah, but I'm so happy that, well, first of all, that K is finally debuting. You know, I love him. And also that finally a group has officially a wolf concept. Even though technically they're not like actual K-pop, but
yeah, but they're linked to K-pop.
Yes.
Pretty heavily.
Pretty heavily, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I give this to a 7 out of 10 on the Wolf meter.
It's pretty cool to have Enhypen coming before that because they really committed to their concept and went for it. So there's hope that they will also be doing something as intense and intricate.
Yes.
So the last one for me is Drunk Dazed by Enhypen. When this came out, I just about lost my mind. I think you remember.
Yeah, I mean, it is the best Enhypen song.
It is big time. It's just going absolutely crazy. I don't know, it just makes you feel like you're drunk and dazed. It just does. And the music video is, they took the vampire concept from Give and Taken and they just ran with it and made it even better and more intense.
Yeah. Also, I really like that scene in the music video where Jake is on a couch and he sings the best part of the song, and then the camera turns because he's like upside down.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, but that's this whole music video is just full of these cool, well chosen little parts that really make the whole concept come together. And the music video is just crazy. Like, we literally get an overflowing blood fountain.
Yeah.
And like indoor blood rain, like the whole room is bleeding. The visuals on that crazy. And it just also works with the storyline. Again, won't go too deep into it, but there we see like the past from when they were at the boarding school, and that's mirrored with present scenes. Obviously the crazy intense vampire party, or I don't know if it's a vampire party or just a party. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
because the invitation the girl gets is like a bloody party.
You're right. So yes, it's a vampire party, and so we see them being openly vampires and creepy and using their powers. We see them drinking blood, which is notable for a vampire concept. That doesn't happen that much, actually.
True.
For the whole storyline, I think that's the point where they were talking about like, ooh, it's so cool being a vampire, but at the same time they were kind of like conflicted about the whole thing, which again was kind of mirrored in, ooh, it's so cool to be in K-pop, but they were also conflicted about that. And just visually, I really like that once again it's not just vampire aesthetics, it's this time it's like crazy colorful party meets gothic, which, you know, it's two aesthetics that you wouldn't really think to mix together, but it really works. It just looks sick and amazing. The styling is absolutely perfect because it's like they're blending in, or they would be blending in with other people, but there's just something a little more about them, I guess.
Shall we do like a closing statement about our genre that we covered?
Yeah.
Okay. I know a lot of people find the wolf concept cringe, but I think at this point everyone has to admit that it has become an integral part of K-pop. Like these days when you hear, oh, it's a wolf song or a wolf concept, it's like, oh yeah, because that's what K-pop does. And I enjoyed a lot, obviously, but what we need more are girl groups with wolf concepts.
Yeah, true.
Especially concepts where the girls are the wolves and not like the damsel in distress or like the Red Riding Hood. That would be so cool. I really hope that will happen now that the wolf genre is kind of at its peak in 2022. Maybe there will be a girl group that will pick it up. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, and I think there could also be some more blood, right?
Yeah.
Most of it is very tame. And I like it a little more bloody and horror-y.
Yeah, and that's just more fun too. It would be really cool for a group to truly embrace that concept and just go because I mean, as I think I've shown, that it's also rare for the vampire concept to really go dark, but it did happen a few times at least.
A little more than the wolf one.
Yeah. But also about girl group doing it, I feel like werewolves are more of a masculine thing for some reason, and I can't believe I'm going to like not quote but talk about Twilight as a reference for something, but even in Twilight, the girl werewolves are kind of like, ooh, weird and rare. Like there's only one.
Yeah, there's only one.
Right? Yeah. So it's like, ooh. So I don't know why. I guess it's
maybe it's because of Twilight.
Maybe actually.
Okay, I have several theories.
Okay.
One is maybe a lot of the modern werewolf stories are written by women, by straight women who want to write about like hot guys. I don't know. But then you could also argue that most vampire stories might also be written by women. And the other thing is, I guess like wolves are they have the association of being like muscly, right? Or maybe it's also because of Twilight. I don't know. I'm influenced.
No, I think the term you're looking for is gender essentialism. It's like, well, it's, you know, aggressive and you need a lot of power, so men.
Yeah, I guess that's why.
And so that's just another really good reason to have a girl group do it, because it's like, no, let's break these stereotypes and essentialism, because we don't need that shit. That would be cool. Like on every possible level, that would be cool. And just more badass, dark concepts for girl groups.
Yes,
would be
please.
Cool in general.
And more blood.
Yes. Well, actually, that's kind of the same for vampires. I really hope, even though we, like, us vampire lovers have been a little more lucky, because I guess the vampire concept, it's less cringe. Although it can be.
It can be, but it's not really seen. Like when you hear, oh, their comeback will be a vampire concept, no one's going to be like, oh, please no.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yes, cool.
Yeah.
But I still want more, and I want more vampire concepts that really embrace, like, same thing, embrace the darkness and more blood and more violence. That's definitely one thing that I would never be mad if it became too mainstream and everyone was doing it. Like, can you imagine a year where it's annoying because there are too many vampire concepts? Like, that's never gonna be a problem for me, you know?
I have a question. Since we're talking about vampires versus werewolves, and we already mentioned Twilight, I can't not ask this question.
I'm scared.
Team Edward or Team Jacob?
Oh, Team Edward.
Really?
I mean, he has these flaws, but Jacob is worse.
Really?
And also, he's not a vampire.
Like, back in the day, as a teenager, when Twilight was the thing, right? I was very much Team Edward. But now, I mean, they both suck.
Yeah. But Team No One.
Yeah. So I'm not sure anymore. But I might be Team Jacob now.
Really? Like, he's a werewolf and he sucks. He sucks so bad, but Edward also sucks so bad.
That's what I'm saying. They're both creepy stalkers, so...
Yeah, they're creepy stalkers, they're abusive, they're just, like, pigs. They're not werewolves, they're not vampires, they're pigs. You know what? No, Team Bella learns to love herself and be by herself.
And gets a hobby.
And yes, gets a hobby, gets a personality. Just...
Actually, I'm Team her dad.
Oh, yes. And Carlisle. And Team Daddy. I am fully Team Daddy. The two dads. Yes, absolutely. We hope you enjoyed this really special and hopefully a little spooky and creepy episode for Halloween.
And as always, Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at K-popinions podcast, and rate and subscribe to our podcast. Give us a good rating if you like it, and don't rate us if you don't like it.
Yes, and talk to you next time. Bye.